Travis unfollowed Ryan because he is fed up with the whole drama. Hi and welcome to Flawsome Talk. I'm Kjersti Flaa, and here on my channel I talk about my good and bad experiences in Hollywood and working as an entertainment reporter. I guess everyone is talking about this today, that Travis Kelce has unfollowed Ryan Reynolds on Instagram. Everyone's like, what? This is a big statement. Of course it is. Why would he all of a sudden unfollow Ryan Reynolds? He is, as you know, Taylor Swift's boyfriend, and Taylor Swift is supposed to be subpoenaed. I think it was last week, but now it's probably this week. And Travis had enough. So, according to internet sleuths, he was following Ryan Reynolds until yesterday. And also, Ryan Reynolds is still following him. As we know, Taylor and Blake have been close friends for a long time. There's a video of the two couples going on double dates together. So they were pretty close, I can imagine. So this is not a random thing, obviously, that he unfollows Ryan. You know, my guess here is that Ryan Reynolds had put a little pressure on Taylor Swift in regards to the subpoena and her being deposed by Brian Friedman. And she felt uncomfortable about it. And then her boyfriend stepped in and thought, you know, what can we do about it? We don't want to go public with a statement about anything. We just want to keep people guessing. But the best move we can do is for him to unfollow Ryan Reynolds, because then she wouldn't have to unfollow Blake Lively, because that is a statement enough, and she could go clear and they could still like have a friendship, which I now believe it's completely over. There's been speculations lately in all the Blake Lively friendly magazines saying that, oh, they mended their friendship. No, I don't think they're going to come back from this, because what she has done to Taylor Swift is being really disloyal. And that's what Taylor Swift's people have been saying this whole time, that, you know, Blake Lively has been using her and using her power and influence. So there has been an insider giving quotes to Daily Mail about this. As I said before, I don't know how reliable these sources are, but let's pretend we trust this one, who says that Travis unfollowed Ryan because he is fed up with the whole drama. And he continues to say it's not just about the spectacle of it all. Travis is concerned that he could potentially be questioned too, since he was with Taylor as some of this was going down. I'm not sure that's the reason why that he's worried about himself, so he's distancing himself like this. I think he's doing this for Taylor. Maybe I'm romantic, but I feel like he is. You know, this is a favor to her to say, you know, so she doesn't have to take a stand against Blake. He continues to say Kelce and Taylor have been laying low after she got sucked in. And then he says Travis is not fake, and he's not going to pretend to be bros with someone who could throw him or Taylor under the bus. And they continue saying Taylor and Blake will never be the way they were after this. And Travis does not have people in his life that he feels are not authentic. Good for you, Kels. I respect him for doing that. So many people are just like, you know, pretending that everything's okay because they don't want to take a stand in case it backfires on them personally. I think pretending to be friends with them, it's much worse at this point, especially in the public eye, a public opinion, than it is to actually take a stand back. There were also some headlines about Blake Lively's wardrobe malfunction at the event, which I think is like, it happens to everyone. I don't like trashing people over wardrobe malfunctions because we all have them, but it didn't look that great because she had like, you know, stains from, I think, self-tanning under her armpits. So I'm sure that some stylist or makeup artist is going to be yelled at, or was already yelled at and maybe fired. So yeah, I'm glad I'm not that person. Also, thank you to Glenda, who sent me this tip of this interview that was done with someone who actually asked a real question on the red carpet. Kudos to this reporter who actually asked Paul Feig if the movie had been influenced by everything that's been going on, by all the craziness. And he answered in a way that just makes me like, oh my God, can't you ever be a little authentic and a little honest?
I'd be remiss to not say there were some distractions over the last couple of months. How did that affect you?
Oh, nothing. We're fine. I mean, everybody's everybody's just doing their thing. We had such a great time making this, and people are so excited about the movie that that's all that matters.
I mean, seriously, why is he lying? Has he ever promoted a film that he's done where he had to close off the comment section when he released the trailer of the movie? I don't think so. I don't think everything's fine, Paul Feig, and this just makes you look fake. And then there was Andrew Reynolds, who's also interviewed on that same red carpet by the same reporter, and asked him too. I actually liked him. I did like him. I loved him in Black Monday. I thought that show was pretty funny. But the way he answered this, I'm like, oh, guys.
But I'd be remiss to not say that there was some distractions. Did that affect you at all?
No. No. If you're talking about the distractions of Allison Janney asking me to go shopping with her in the streets of Rome, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was disappointing, Andrew. I think that's disrespectful to the reporter who was there to ask real questions, and then you're joking about it and pretending that everything's fine and just like diverting it. And it's just like useless information. Also, someone sent me this tip. Thank you very much. A tip of when Ryan Reynolds was interviewed by Sky Sports after Wrexham won on Saturday in Wales. And Ryan was asked some questions, and I listened to the whole thing. And of course, Ryan Reynolds had to bring in storytelling in this interview as well about his soccer team.
What we're lucky to do is be as storytellers.
It's all about storytelling. Remember he said that when he was interviewed on stage?
I give a lot of talks to students about storytelling.
But what was interesting about this was what he said when he was asked if, he regretted or something like that, buying a football team. And he answered this.
Right, yes. Or buy a boat. That's another dumb thing you could do.
Yeah. Guess who just came out and said their biggest mistake or the dumbest thing they did was buying a boat? Colin Jost, Scarlett Johansson's husband. So this person who sent this to me said that, he's taking a dig at him. I'm sure he did, because this is what Ryan Reynolds does all the time. He just take little jabs at people and then, makes it sound like it's funny. One of you guys also sent me an email pointing out that, Ryan and Blake are so busy with their new PR strategy and campaign, walking around on the red carpet, posing the whole time or flying to soccer games in Wales. Where are their 4 children that she's focusing on right now? According to sources in People magazine, Blake Lively is completely focusing on her family. Well, it doesn't look like that. Let's put it that way. Blake is focusing on her image and on Ryan's image. Anyways, a lot of people have been speculating on what was going on the red carpet between Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds during the Another Sip of Flavor premiere. I was looking at some of the footage, and especially one that someone pointed out. Doesn't it look like Ryan Reynolds had a drink too many in this video? And yeah, I agree. It looks like he was kind of a little bit all over the place, and Blake was in control. There's again a body language expert interviewed. Her name is Judy James. She was interviewed in Daily Mail, and she talked about this one pose that was so funny because I was just thinking about the same thing yesterday when I looked through the footage, and I'm like, they always whisper to each other on the red carpet. And she said, this is a favorite pose among celeb couples wanting to look flirtatious together for the cameras. The proximity of the faces can create the suggestion in a still photo of a desired kiss, while the whispering itself suggests an intimate, sweet, nothing sexy conversation between them. I don't think there is much romance between Blake and Ryan anymore. I feel like this is taking a strain on their relationship. And you could see how, little micro moments of how they were annoyed with each other on the red carpet, especially Ryan, who kept stepping on Blake's train all the time and her dress. And she was like controlling him where to stand and where to go. There's been a lot of people pointing out little things that she did. So the body language expert also continues talking about how Blake is controlling Ryan on the carpet. She says, in a candid video from the red carpet, Lively was filmed frantically gesturing with her hands as a puzzled Ryan Reynolds by her side winded his eyes comically before walking off. And the body language expert says Blake's directive hand signals to Ryan on the red carpet show not only her previously illustrated fondness for directing the action out of the red carpet, but also Ryan's loyal, unobedient looking responses that create the look of sticking his nose straight into a human hand propeller. Yeah, so a lot of people have been speculating that this is like that there's trouble in paradise right now, that this is too much for them to handle. And there's been so much talk about how controlling Ryan Reynolds is, and that was the whole thing here, that he was behind everything. But when you look at this footage, I don't think so. I think she's just as controlling as him. And I think they're just like, this is just, they're putting on this display of happiness, which I I just don't buy it. Also, there was an interesting article in Wall Street Journal about Blake Lively's disastrous PR tour and how horrible her presence is for another simple favor. They interviewed someone called Evan Neerman, who is the CEO of a crisis PR firm called Red Banyan. And he's saying that Lively's challenge in promoting her new film is enormous. Casting a long shadow over her positive press for the new movie is all the negative coverage of her prior movie. Yeah, that's not any news. It's a very large, very dark shadow, and I think it's going to be very difficult for her to step out of that and into the light. They also interviewed a legal analyst, and he says Lively is also taking legal risks every time she interacts with the press or shows up at a public event. And he says that Baldoni's legal team will be paying very close attention to this press tour for the movie. And as we know, Brian Friedman was heavily criticizing when Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively showed up at the SNL 50. And, this is just like a continuation of that. And he says that if Brian Friedman sees any interaction between the co-stars that they see as maybe not friendly, it's possible that they may try to subpoena them and bring them into the civil trial to show some sort of pattern of behavior on set. So maybe that's why everyone is sucking up to them at the premieres, like they don't want to be subpoenaed. And then he continues to say social media users have poured over every frame of Lively's appearance at South by Southwest, looking for clues about a relationship with the sequel's cast, especially Anna Kendrick. And who knows, maybe Anna Kendrick can get subpoenaed because she's been working closely with Blake Lively. So who knows, maybe Brian Friedman would depose her and, ask her questions about what it's really like to work with Blake Lively. All right, you guys, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thanks for sending me tips, and keep sending them, even on other stories. I feel like people are getting a little bit tired of the Blake Lively saga. I feel it a little bit too. I need to talk about other things soon because it's getting exhausting. But every time I want to start talking about something else, they do something else that's really dumb, and I have to talk about it. So, yes, thanks for subscribing, you guys. I really appreciate all your support. And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell, and so you don't miss an episode of Flawsome Talk. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.